Hello, everyone. Some people look at the time I bought Tesla in 2014 or 2015. I had a lot of convertible debt. That seemed like the best way to bet on Tesla, and it paid off big time. There's no doubt in my mind that Elon Musk is the most important person alive today. People are finally ready for the real car company after 15 years. But when I put money into the business, I thought it would be the start of something bigger. I believe Elon is done starting a car company. It will be another one from him. They know they're safe, so they can do a lot of damage to the environment, or look at PEN and still get away with it. But something strange is happening, which is the total pants. This can only get out of hand if the energy balance changes. The law or a big competitor won't make you do it. One day, every home will have hydroponic panels, solar panels, batteries, and software that lets them live off the grid and store extra power in batteries. Solutions and other things that are controlled by cities, towns, and governments will, in turn off their usage of peers at a minimum, and then over time will have very different usage characteristics from traditional utilities. This is what Tesla is powering, and this is what makes it a multi-trillion-dollar company. Does it have the same return profile as when I bought it for, say, $25 or $30 a share? No, but it can be many times higher than where it is now. I think this is a really important example of a much bigger trend that's happening in the stock market, which is that retail investors now have access to so much information that it's almost on parity with people that work in traditional investment organizations. And what we've seen is that's happened, is that the quality of that analysis and the ability to see around the corner is as good and in many cases better than traditional investment firms and the way they view the problem. So from day one you have had this massive tension between the bulls and the bears on this company, and the bulls basically saw a long-term trend around electrification, and the bears tried to play with balance sheet mathematics, of course. If I said you can sell 90,000 cars, but then if you negative sell 100,000, you've not sold 10,000, and you would say, what does any of this mean? You can use any convoluted logic to try to be short this stock. And what you would have done is just lost an enormous amount of money. And so what we're going to see now is that the stock is going to become part of the S&P 500. It is the leading edge when it comes to electrification and decarbonization. And here's the thing, Andrew, what the bulls will get right and what the bears will ignore from here is that this is no longer about cars, that's the first wave of growth. And I think people are pricing in an evisceration of traditional autos and an enormous shift to EVs, of which Tesla will get the disproportionate share. So now, what is the bet? If you ask me as an investor who loves that company, it was in page 4 or 5 of their quarterly earnings release where they talk about the energy business, and they said a couple of interesting things. The first is that it was profitable, and the second is that they're also producing software now that allows effectively anybody to become a distributed utility. Now think of that for a second. You were talking about one of the most predictable, reasonable businesses that have raised hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars of debt, and what Tesla is going to do with their battery packs and their software is all of a sudden allow each of us to be in the energy business as well. Again, people will get angry, they will not understand, they will try to push back, and they will be wrong. And what's going to happen is that this stock is now going to represent the totality around decarbonization and sustainability. So it was really great to own this thing around cars for the first 4 years. I did it, I made a lot of money. But now I underwrite this company as a bet towards decarbonization, towards deregulated energy, and towards the ability for all of us to become our little micro-utilities when it comes to Tesla's impressive growth. It's not just about observing from the sidelines for Tesla bulls and those with a keen eye for uncovering the next stock market gem. This page has a lot of details about Tesla. How much should Tesla stock cost? What Tesla came up with and everything Elon Musk, that is. If you click on one of the ads in the text and then buy something, I may get paid. Let me explain. Let's say you had 1,000,000 chances to hit a golf ball off the pier and into a teacup. I suspect that in 1,000,000 times you would not be able to do it, but if you then took somebody else and they were able to do it 9 times out of 10, you'd say, wow, that person is a great golfer. The analogy that I would make is Elon basically did that equivalent. He was able to send a rocket into space to all kinds of interesting, enormously productive, useful things for the world while in space, and then come back down and land on a boat in the middle of the ocean. The kind of technical sophistication that he has in his mind, that he's been able to apply across his companies is second to none, quite honestly. So when we looked at Tesla, what we thought was a company at an inflection point that was as close to its version of an iPhone moment. And what I mean by that is a company that had been growing up taking risks and had finally found the mass market product that would unlock an enormous amount of product market fit. And that was the Model 3, and so far, what I would say is he's living up to what he has signed up for, which is to commercialize electrification, to commercialize an incredible user experience at a price point that has frankly cannibalized its competitors. And what you see in the results, in my opinion, is a company that is now maturing under all of that demand. And so again, is it the best suited company if you want to drive and observe quarter-over-quarter precision and performance? No. But if you want to take a step back and take a 3-5-year view and say, where can I compound my money? And particularly with the converts, what's so beautiful is it's downside protected because it sits on top of all the equity and the other debt. And so if you have any concern that there's liquidity issues, or if you have any concerns that the company may have to sell, they get paid first. So to me, it was a riskless option on the Edison of our generation. The reason is because the common stock is not controlled, unfortunately, enough by him or the insiders. What it's controlled by are a bunch of vulture-like venture and hedge funds, mostly hedge funds, who like to prey on that company. If you look at, for example, the Twitter traffic, or if you look at the forum traffic around Tesla, the amount of hyping or underhyping, the amount of sniping is enormous. All of that signals to me that it is a market that is out of the control of the founders and the executives and firmly in the hands of financial manipulators. Perspective is buy the bonds, you're protected, and allow Elon to execute well. All I see, frankly, is that he has tried to execute to the best of his abilities. He puts out aggressive numbers. He tries to meet those numbers. But that's okay, because in the course of the year or in the course of the 5 years, if you take a 5-year step back and say, what does he promised in 2014? What is he doing in 2019? You'd be ecstatic. Similarly, if you take a step back and say from 2019 to 2024, let the man do his job. Will we be better? Or